Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening wherever you are. It's a great pleasure for me to be here to present to you today. Thanks to the World Aquaculture Society for inviting me, and also to the Aquaculture Nutrition Network and aquafeed.com for their continuous encouragement. The topic of my presentation today is on aquaculture nutrition and health. This slide shows a generalized production pyramid and relationship between nutrition and feeding, culture environment, and health and disease. This slide shows the relationship between stress, health, and disease. And obviously, if we have a nutrition or feeding regime which is suboptimal, or we have a culture environment where the animal is subjected to variations in temperature, DO, or environmental stresses, then the issues of disease resistance and health become paramount. In this slide we show how stress can have a negative effect on health and disease. The stress can result from a suboptimal feed, or it can result from an environmental stress such as varying water temperature, DO levels, or a deteriorating environment. All these can result in stress and can have a negative effect on the health and general well-being of the species we're culturing. In this slide I show the major fish and shrimp stressors through diet, feeding, and culture environment. Dealing with the culture environment stressors first, these can include, for example, an open, unstable environment, suboptimal water quality, poor water management, toxic sediment buildup, algal blooms and crashes, or from competing bacterial flora and biota. In terms of nutrition and feeding, stresses may include suboptimal feed and nutrition, poor ingredient quality, the presence of anti-nutritional factors and toxins, poor feed management, over or underfeeding, or the presence of viable pathogens present within the feed itself. This slide summarizes what I've said previously, the possible interactions between nutrition and health. We can have environmental culture stress, or we can have imbalanced suboptimal feed, as I said before. But also we can have infectious disease agents present in the environment, or we can have parasites or injuries due to the rearing conditions or toxins present within the feed that can all have negative effects, including reduced feed intake and a general reduced nutritional status of the fish or shrimp, resulting in reduced fish and shrimp health and disease resistance. But also some of these changes in environmental culture conditions can also alter the requirements of a species for a particular nutrient. And also they can result in a deleterious effect on gut health and nutrient absorption. My presentation today is a very short summary of a new handbook on nutritional disorders and diseases of fish and shrimp, which I've produced and which will shortly be published by 5M. In general, nutritional disorders can be viewed at 6 levels, concerning proteins and amino acids, lipids and fatty acids, minerals and trace elements, vitamin imbalances, anti-nutritional factors, and feed contaminants. And for each of these nutritional disorders, we can also look at their effects on external features of the fish or shrimp in terms of animal behavior, body shape and size, the occurrence of lesions or skin color, but also in terms of internal pathology, in terms of blood, hematology, gut structure and function, heart abnormalities, general immunity and disease resistance, and also pathologies related to the liver and hepatopancreas, the muscle, bone development, and also the kidney and spleen. On a general basis, the majority of these nutritional disorders result in reduced growth and FCR, but also generally in terms of reduced disease resistance, health, and overall survival. Examples of major pathology signs include abnormalities in animal behavior. Um, Examples including certain vitamin deficiencies, mineral deficiencies, amino acid deficiencies, or fatty acid deficiencies can result in abnormalities in feeding or swimming behavior. A good example being a deficiency of tryptophan, resulting in increased cannibalism and aggressive behavior in several marine fish species, but also a deficiency of pyridoxine, resulting in erratic swimming, irritability, spasms, and convulsions. Each of these particular nutrients have their own way of exhibiting their own deficiency signs. Another example being a deficiency of DHA in some larval species, resulting in shock syndrome or alterations in schooling behavior. But these are all features which have been widely reported, and in the documentation I illustrate the species where these deficiencies occur. This slide shows examples of eye pathology, either in the form of a cataract or exophthalmia. Again, here listed along the side are the various nutrients which have been reported to result in cataracts and exophthalmia. The important point being that each cataract is different depending on the species and also depending on the nutrient, and it's important that we do the typing of the cataract so that we can know exactly if it's due to a deficiency of zinc, riboflavin, or a deficiency of methionine. In this slide I show skeletal pathology in the form of lordosis or scoliosis, and the nutrients which have been found to result in some of these pathologies. Again, each of these pathologies are species-specific and nutrient-specific. In this slide, I show pathologies of the liver or the gill structure. Again, liver lipoid degeneration, ceroid accumulation is a condition which is frequently found with the use of oxidized lipids, especially diets which are low in vitamin E, which is the natural antioxidant of the body, which helps the animal protect itself from these free radicals and singlet oxygen. Some classic symptoms here, like green liver, are symptoms which occur in certain marine fish species due to a deficiency of taurine, which is an essential nutrient for these species, and taurine is involved with the synthesis of bile. Other nutrient deficiencies here with gill abnormalities, gill clubbing, are things which are classic in some species, especially salmonids, with a deficiency of pantothenic acid. Again, the important point to remember, each of these, although here they are listed in a very general way, each of these nutrients are only occur in specific species, not all species. In this slide we have major pathology signs such as fin and skin erosion or short body dwarfism, various amino acid deficiencies, fatty acid deficiencies cause fin erosion, and then what normally happens is that you get secondary infection with fungi or with bacteria, and we have serious disease outbreaks. But again, I've just listed here some of the reported nutrients which have resulted in fin and skin erosion, and also mineral and vitamin deficiencies which have resulted in short body dwarfism. Again, not in all species, but here examples are for salmonid species. This slide shows examples of heart pathology and pathology of the muscle related to nutritional imbalances, either due to fatty acid deficiencies, vitamin deficiencies, and mineral deficiencies. In the case of salmonids, resulting in heart problems, but also the effect of oxidized oil and a general deficiency of vitamins such as vitamin E on the ability of animals being able to protect themselves from the harmful effects of singlet oxygen and free radicals. This slide shows blood pathology signs relating to anemia and reduced hemoglobin levels, either due to specific vitamin deficiencies or due to the effect of oxidized lipids or specific mycotoxin toxicities. Reduced hemoglobin levels are also a common result of the anemia. Again, many nutrients can cause reduced hemoglobin levels, whether it's specific amino acid or fatty acid deficiencies, mineral deficiencies, vitamin deficiencies, oxidized oil, or also specific mycotoxin toxicities. In addition to anemia and reduced hemoglobin levels, we can also measure the hematocrit, and a reduced hematocrit is also indicative of various of the same nutrient deficiencies as for anemia and hemoglobin. This slide shows the nutrients which have been found to have a negative effect on the immune system or the immune response capability and the disease resistance of fish and shrimp. You can see again there's a wide range of specific essential amino acids, fatty acids, minerals and vitamins which have been shown to have a negative effect on disease resistance and immune function. Oxidized lipids again present as a major hazard, but also again mycotoxins. Mycotoxins are the anti-nutritional factors found in plants. There are over 500 different mycotoxins already reported in nature, and the majority of these have a very negative effect on the health and well-being, as I will show in the next slide. This slide shows the reported health effects of 5 major mycotoxins in humans and animals in general, and you can see that they have effects on various tissues. Several of them are carcinogenic, others are hepatotoxic. All of them have a general negative effect on the immune system and also on the gut health and structure and function. And here it's important to mention that in particular some mycotoxins have been found to affect gut permeability and the tight junction between cells, which facilitates the entry of toxins from bacteria and from unwanted metabolites into the bloodstream. Other mycotoxins have a negative effect on the kidney or on the nervous tissue or on the reproductive tissue. But in general, these are things that are universally present in many of the ingredients that we use, and so we have to be cognizant of the levels and how and their effects in the species that we cover. It's important to remember that for optimum growth and feed efficiency, all fish and shrimp have a requirement for about 45 essential nutrients, be they essential amino acids, essential fatty acids, cholesterol and phospholipids depending on the species, minerals and trace elements, and also vitamins, and a few new potential candidates such as astaxanthin, molybdenum, silica, and also vanadium. But there is a requirement for optimum growth. But there is also an even higher requirement for optimum health and disease resistance for many of these nutrients, as I will show. This slide shows that there is a requirement for most nutrients for optimum growth and FCR. But also sometimes there is an even higher requirement for optimum health and disease resistance and well-being. And so this is important to know that many nutrients, apart from being necessary for growth and metabolism and producing new muscle, but also many nutrients have specific functional properties in terms of health and general well-being. And so in this slide I show some of the reported functional health properties of key amino acids to show that apart from protein synthesis and growth and energy utilization, specific amino acids also may have roles in terms of osmoregulation, stress response, immunity and survival, ammonia removal and metamorphosis. So it's important to remember again that amino acids they're not only needed for growth, but also they also perform many essential functions within the body, including functions related to general health and disease resistance. This slide gives examples of various nutrients and ingredients which have been used in feeds and have been reported as having beneficial health benefits to the cultured species, including specific essential amino acids, nucleotides, fatty acids, sterols, vitamins and minerals, but also other specific feed additives such as enzymes, emulsifiers, essential oils and organic acids, and also prebiotics, probiotics, alginates, beta-glucans, carrageenans, chitosans, lactoferrins, mannans, peptidoglycans, and plant extracts. Many ingredients which have reported beneficial health effects. But the important thing to remember is that most of these they may help with the animal and help its health and overall survival, but they are not a panacea to actually remove that disease problem. The pathogen is out there, but many nutrients and additives can help the animal defend itself against them. To give some concluding comments, it's important to remember that stress is seen as playing a very negative role in the overall health and well-being of most farm species. And so anything that we can do to minimize stress, to produce a more stable and constant environment for the species, the better. The more we can protect the species from pathogens present in the culture environment, the better. And so what is going to happen more and more, as has happened in the poultry sector, is the need for greater biosecurity and environmental control to minimize stress and also pathogen access. This is my final slide. It shows on the left side how the poultry sector was able to move indoors. It moved indoors to deny access to pathogens which existed outside, and also to create an environment, a constant environment where temperature and humidity were maintained at a certain level and where the animals had access to food 24 hours a day. In aquaculture, this is happening more and more with fish culture systems, RAS systems, where we can control the temperature, where we can control the environment, where we can eliminate entry of potential pathogens. And also with shrimp farming, more and more we are doing the same. But the message here is full biosecurity, environmental control, and by so doing minimizing the stress of the species that we're culturing. And so with this, it's not a solution for all, but it's something where the aquaculture sector is learning very much from the terrestrial livestock sector and how that sector has been able to manage their biosecurity and disease management. And so with that last slide, so thank you, mahalo, for staying with me till the very end, and also to the Aquaculture Nutrition Network and aquafeed.com for their support. This is my very, very last slide. So again, thank you to the World Aquaculture Society for organizing this meeting. And here's hoping to see you all again in Singapore next year from June 14th to the 18th, 2021 for the next World Aquaculture Congress. So thank you and stay safe and take care, everybody.